All right, buckle up, everybody. We're heading back to Middle-earth
Back again.
for a deep dive into Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films.
Oh, an excellent choice.
You guys sent in a ton of material for this one, articles, essays,
Wow.
even some of your own personal notes. Clearly, you're not just fans.
Dedicated.
You want to understand how these movies work. So what's our mission today? To unearth the coolest insights about how these films were made, why they still resonate, and what they might tell us about ourselves.
Sounds like a plan.
We're talking risky decisions, groundbreaking effects,
Right.
and how a real landscape basically became a fictional world.
Became Middle-earth, yeah.
It's incredible.
What always gets me about these films is how they take Tolkien's intricate world
Yeah.
and somehow make it work on screen.
Yeah.
It's dense source material, filled with history and lore. But they managed to distill it into a movie experience that still, I think, feels true to the spirit of the books.
Exactly. And it meant making some tough choices. I mean, how do you fit all of the Lord of the Rings into even 3 movies?
Yeah.
Some things had to go. Characters like Tom Bombadil, entire storylines.
Be cut.
Did those omissions hurt the adaptation, or did they help streamline things? What do you think?
It's tough.
Yeah.
Hardcore fans might be disappointed when their favorite parts are cut,
Yeah.
but for a wider audience, streamlining can actually be good.
Right.
It makes the story easier to follow, draws them into the world without
Yeah.
overwhelming them, you know?
Totally. It's like, imagine trying to explain the rules of Quidditch.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd never read Harry Potter, you'd be lost.
Totally lost.
So some streamlining makes sense, but then there are changes that actually add to the story, like expanding Arwen's role.
Oh, interesting.
In the books, she's more of a background
Yeah,
figure,
right.
but in the movies, she's a driving force for Aragorn.
I see, yeah.
It gives him more depth. Instead of just being a heroic king in waiting, he's torn between his love for Arwen and this huge destiny.
Makes him more human.
Exactly. More relatable.
Right.
And speaking of smart choices, let's talk about the technical side of bringing Middle-earth to life. This wasn't just filmmaking, it was revolutionary.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're talking filming all 3 movies at once,
Wow.
armies of extras, massive sets, and they pushed the boundaries of what was even possible with technology.
It's mind-blowing, the logistics.
And they pulled it off.
Yeah. Think about Gollum, for instance. Before these films, nobody had seen a CGI character that felt so real.
So believable.
Andy Serkis and that motion capture technology, they created something incredible.
Unprecedented, really. I remember people were skeptical. Like, could CGI ever create characters with actual... Yeah. And Gollum shut that whole argument down. Suddenly, digital characters could have inner turmoil, you know?
Absolutely. It wasn't just Gollum either.
Yeah, right.
Those battle scenes. Thousands of orcs, all clashing.
Helm's Deep, oh my god.
Each orc seemingly making its own decisions.
The chaos of it all.
Weta Digital created this massive software.
Yeah.
Gave each digital soldier its own AI.
That's wild.
Unheard of at the time.
It wasn't just spectacle, it felt real.
Exactly. You felt the stakes.
But while CGI was huge, we can't forget the practical effects.
Right.
The bigatures, as they called them.
So those miniatures were amazing.
So detailed, the way they blended with the real New Zealand landscapes.
Seamlessly.
Incredible. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
we got to talk about the decision to film in New Zealand.
It's essential to the films.
Those landscapes, the hills, the mountains, the forests, they became Middle-earth.
They really did.
It wasn't just about pretty scenery, though. Those locations had to feel timeless.
Mythical.
And they do. And you know what?
What?
They reinforce the story's themes, too.
How so?
Think about it. The Shire, all lush and green, represents peace.
Okay.
Then you have Mordor, this desolate wasteland corrupted by Sauron.
Right. It's such a stark contrast.
It's that battle between good and evil, visualized.
Yeah, very powerful. The environment becomes another character.
Right. It shapes the whole story.
It really does. But, you know, we're talking about stunning visuals.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking technology.
Yeah.
What about the heart of the story? What are these films really about beneath all that?
Exactly. Let's move past the orcs and the special effects.
Right.
And talk about what Lord of the Rings is really about. Because underneath it all, these films are about us.
About humanity.
About friendship, temptation, power.
Universal stuff.
Tolkien wove those into this epic tale.
He was a master of that.
And those themes are powerful. Take the Fellowship itself, this group of different characters all united
Brought together.
against this massive threat.
It's a great image.
It makes you think, especially in a world that feels so divided right now, like, can people who are different.
Very different.
Actually come together for something bigger than themselves.
It gives you hope.
And within the Fellowship, you've got Frodo and Sam. Their friendship, it never wavers. No matter how tough things get, it makes you think about your own friendships, the people who stick by you no matter what.
The ones who have your back.
We'll dive into that more in part 2, but I think it's safe to say The Lord of the Rings is so much more than just a fantasy adventure. It asks us to look inward, to examine ourselves and the world we're creating.
You know, that bond between Frodo and Sam?
Yeah.
It's really the heart of the whole thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. You've got Frodo carrying this burden, this ring that's like slowly poisoning him, body and soul. And Sam, he's just there.
Every step of the way.
Every step. No complaints. It's
unwavering loyalty.
Yeah, really inspiring, honestly.
Makes you think about your own life.
Yeah.
The people who've been there for you like that. The ones who just stick with you through
rough times.
No matter what. Yeah, those are the relationships that really matter.
Yeah, no question. And it's not just about friendship.
Oh.
Think about Aragorn. He's the reluctant king.
Oh.
He spends so much time hiding from his destiny.
Or running from responsibility.
He's haunted by the failures of his ancestors, afraid to repeat their mistakes.
And ultimately,
yeah,
he can't escape who he is.
It's that classic hero's journey, but
with a twist.
Yeah. Aragorn's not chosen because he's the strongest or the most ambitious. It's because he's willing to put others first.
He gets it.
He understands true leadership is about sacrifice.
Yeah, about service.
And in a way, isn't that a lesson for all of us? Whether we're leading at work, raising kids, or just trying to be good people.
It applies everywhere.
True leadership comes from selflessness.
It's about realizing we're all connected.
And that our choices matter.
Our actions have an impact.
Absolutely. Speaking of impact, let's talk about Gollum. His choices have a huge impact on the story.
Oh, Gollum. Fascinating characters.
He's such a study in duality. Like, he's a victim of the ring, but also
manipulator.
Cruel, but then you see these moments of
tenderness.
It's hard to pin him down.
I'm repulsed by him, but also kind of feel sorry for him.
Me too.
He's been enslaved by this thing for centuries. Twisted by it.
Yeah. You almost can't blame him.
It's like an addiction.
Right. Consumed by this one desire, even though it's destroying him.
It makes you think about our own addictions.
Oh, yeah. Whether it's substances, tech, or just bad habits. How do we resist those things that can take over?
That's the big question, isn't it?
And it's something Lord of the Rings really wrestles with. The ring isn't just a magical object.
It's a symbol.
Yeah, of all the things that tempt us.
The things that can lead us down the wrong path.
And Gollum's struggle shows that anyone can be corrupted.
Anyone.
Even the smallest, most insignificant creature.
Yeah. And he does destroy the ring.
In the end.
But it's a bittersweet victory.
It is.
He dies in the process, consumed by it.
It's so tragic. But it also highlights this idea of redemption.
You see glimmers of Smeagol.
Yeah, his old self trying to break free.
Even at the very end.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest hearts,
there's still a spark of good.
It might be buried deep, but it's there. And that's hopeful, right? The idea that even people who have really gone astray can find their way back.
Yeah, absolutely. Gives me hope.
Me too. And it speaks to how universal these stories are. Yeah, they're about hobbits and elves, but
the core.
It's about the human experience, the choices we make,
the battles we fight,
the relationships that shape us.
And that's why these films resonate across generations.
Yeah, we see ourselves in these characters, their struggles, their victories.
We're inspired by them.
Moved by them, challenged by them.
They're not just entertainment.
No, there's so much more.
It's like holding up a mirror.
To our own souls.
To our own souls, yeah. Making us confront the darkness inside us.
But also the potential for good.
And it's not just the themes, it's how they're told.
Right.
The epic scope, those incredible visuals, Howard Shore's music.
It all works together.
Creates this immersive experience.
Yeah. It's a world you can just get lost in.
You can watch these films again and again.
And always find something new.
A detail you missed. A line that hits you differently.
There's so much depth.
And then there's the legacy. These films revitalized fantasy.
Paved the way for Game of Thrones.
Pushed the boundaries of visual effects.
It's hard to imagine cinema without them.
They've had such an influence.
They proved that audiences wanted these epic stories.
Stories that transported them, challenged them.
Yeah, offered a sense of wonder.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the impact The Lord of the Rings has had outside of film.
Right, because it's not just about the movies.
It's become part of our culture.
The characters, the quotes, the images.
They're everywhere.
You see Lord of the Rings references everywhere, memes, T-shirts.
Even academic papers.
It's a testament to the power of Tolkien's creation.
And Jackson's vision.
They captured the essence of Middle-earth.
The beauty, the darkness, the hope.
It transcends mere entertainment.
It's a myth for our time.
Yeah, it speaks to the deepest parts of us.
As we move into the final part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
It's worth considering this. What does the lasting legacy of Lord of the Rings say about us? Why do we keep coming back to these stories?
Yeah, it's a question that's been with me this whole time.
Yeah.
Why does Lord of the Rings still hit us so hard
Right.
decades later, Is it just nostalgia? Or is it something deeper?
I think it's much deeper than that. These stories, they get at something fundamental about being human. They remind us that we're capable of incredible things,
Yeah.
but also terrible things.
Yeah.
They show us how strong friendship can be, even when things are really rough. And I think most importantly, they offer hope.
Hope.
In a world that can feel, pretty overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah. There's this Tolkien quote I keep thinking about.
Which one?
He wrote, all that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's such a simple line, but it says so much about these stories. Appearances can be deceiving. True value isn't always obvious. And even when someone seems lost, they might just be on a journey.
Finding their way.
Yeah. And that's kind of comforting, right? In a world that's all about, what's on the surface.
Flash and glitz.
Yeah. Instant gratification. Lord of the Rings makes you slow down. Appreciate the simple things.
Yeah.
Remember that real strength often comes from inside.
It's about looking deeper.
Yeah.
Finding that hidden beauty and meaning.
Exactly. And even when things are darkest, even when all hope seems lost, there's always a chance for
redemption.
Redemption, yeah. Think about the end of Return of the King.
Yeah.
The ring's destroyed, Sauron's gone, but the world
changed forever.
It's bittersweet. You realize even victory has a cost.
Yeah.
But there's also this
deep sense of hope.
Yeah. Even after loss, life keeps going.
And there's beauty to be found.
It's a powerful message for, I think, where we are right now. I mean, we're facing some huge things. Climate change, social unrest.
Yeah, the world feels pretty chaotic.
It's easy to get bogged down in all that.
To feel overwhelmed.
But Lord of the Rings is a reminder that even when things seem impossible, even when it feels like everything's falling apart,
there's still reason to
fight. And to believe that good can win out.
That good can win, yeah.
That's the real legacy, isn't it? It's not about the battles or the creatures.
It's about the human spirit.
Our ability to love, to sacrifice, to forgive.
Overcome.
Yeah, to overcome darkness. And those are lessons that never get old.
They're timeless.
As relevant now as they were when Tolkien wrote them.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Lord of the Rings, I want to leave you with this. The journey doesn't stop here. These stories, they encourage us to keep exploring, discover our own strength and find the hope and beauty in the world.
And remember, anyone can make a difference.
Anyone.
Even the smallest person. Tolkien wrote, even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
That's a great quote. Thanks for coming along on this journey with us. May your own path be filled with adventure and courage and maybe a little bit of Middle-earth magic along the way.